Islanders have fled New York for a Montreal canoe. The Great Lakes, the Black Spruce, the Northwest Rendezvous, the Foreshore, the Cote d'Ivoire, the Ojibwe and the Cree. They know how a man can fall for the big lonely.
It's Rodney Brown.
Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
This is phenomenal. This is exciting. This whole whiskey chat has got me to talk to a whole pile of really incredible people. So yeah,
nice.
it's a real honor. So yeah, I'm going to go right into the questions.
Sure.
And yeah, so what's so special about the North? You're a Thunder Bay boy,
Yeah.
Born and raised. I think you were born and raised in Thunder Bay.
Yes, I am born and raised in Westport. I grew up beside a Canada Car where they make subway cars now for Toronto, and had a very musical childhood. My dad played guitar and sang, and we had a little gospel group when I was a little guy, and he was a big influence on me. And my dad was also a fishing guide in Lake of the Woods when he was younger. And my mom's grandparents owned a fishing camp just north of Emo. And my dad would always take me fishing when I was younger, I think just so he could increase the number of fish that he could catch, but kind of a thing. And when I was little, we would spend a good part of our summers at Quetico in the olden days. And so I got to know Quetico, and kind of grew up in a very musical outdoors kind of environment, and just fun. Yeah.
And your dad was a musician too, was he? Or
yeah, my dad, Mel Brown, we did some traveling together. He was a singer-songwriter as he got older, and he also wrote songs about Northern Ontario. He has a song on the internet called Son of a Pulpwood Cutter.
Hey, I'm the son of a pulpwood cutter, and I'm rough and tough just like I oughta. Raised in the bush about 60 miles back from any highway or railway track.
And stories about his youth growing up in Emo and Fort Frances area. And we played the Winnipeg Folk Festival together in Vancouver and Edmonton and other festivals, and we had a nice time together traveling together. But he passed away in 93. But Mel Brown.
Yeah, a great little documentary you have on your YouTube channel about visiting places along. Yeah, that's great. So you were on tour back in the day. I hate saying that because we're still in the day. But back in the day, you toured with Ian Tamlin, which actually I know quite well, and also Bruce Cockburn and Murray McLauchlan. And so, what were the days like back then? Like that was I wouldn't say that's your heyday because I didn't know you for those times. I knew you more in the early '90s than then.
Well, it was my beginnings. I made my first album in 1977, and I made it here in Thunder Bay. It did very well. I was pleasantly surprised just how well it did, and they were songs, a lot of songs about Northern Ontario, and caught the interest of the artistic director of the Winnipeg Folk Festival, Mitch Podolak. He was the founder of the Winnipeg Festival, and he came to Thunder Bay and auditioned, and he got me to play in Winnipeg. And then I played Regina and Northern Lights and Sudbury. They were very early folk festivals, and it was an eye opener for me. I was younger. I was in my early 20s, and discovered that there was a lot of really fine musicians out there, that I wasn't the only one. And I realized that if I was going to make a name for myself and try and make a living at it, I was going to have to work pretty hard at it, because there's some great music out there. But I also made lots of friends and lots of connections. So I made my second album in 1980. And another album in 1986. I got into children's music a little bit in the 80s and 90s. just to help myself make a living playing music. And not that I didn't like playing for kids. I love kids, and I still do children's concerts. And then, started making more albums with Ian. Paul Mills produced one of my CDs later, and I even did an album with the Thunder Bay Symphony Orchestra. And oh, geez, that's what I forgot. Just yesterday, in the mail, I got my Gordon Lightfoot CDs, and I was going to hold one up and show you. But anyways, maybe some other.
That's what you're doing now. I noticed you're doing a lot of Gordon Lightfoot covers.
Yeah.
So Bob Dylan as well. So is this just an epiphany you had, or?
There was a time in this fair land when the railroad did not run, when the wild majestic mountains stood alone against the sun.
Well, I'm playing in Thunder Bay more. I'm not on the road as much, and trying to get people to come out. It was actually the Thunder Bay Symphony Orchestra asked me if I would do the Gordon Lightfoot show. There was 22 Gordon Lightfoot songs that I learned and discovered just how wonderful Gordon Lightfoot was. I mean, I always heard his songs and I knew he was great, but I wasn't until I worked on the songs and learned them and sang them with the symphony orchestra that I really, really appreciated. We had 2 sold out shows in Thunder Bay. And then I did another Lightfoot show with my trio, and we had 400 people come out. And when I went to see the Bob Dylan movie, Complete Unknown, with my buddy, he's kind of my pretend manager. We walked out of that Dylan movie, and first thing he said, "Rod, you got to do a Dylan show. You got to do it." So we did, and we more than sold out. We had to turn people away at the door. So we're going to do another Dylan show coming up on May the 17th. People do come out to hear Rodney Brown songs, but I discovered that people really like Lightfoot and Bob Dylan a little bit. Their songs better than mine.
Yeah, but your character matches and your song writing matches them. It's a storyline, right? And that's why we like Dylan and
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, I loved your stuff throughout the years because, for example, White Otter Castle, the King of White Otter.
Oh, yeah.
Won't you build me a castle, she said, make it 3 times over my head, glass in the windows and paint on the doors, and then, my darling, I will be yours.
Before I went to that castle to see it, I listened to the song on the drive to the put-in, right?
Oh, nice.
And the whole idea is that you're telling the story of that place. Or even, Lonely Land, that whole album was a big hit for you, wasn't it?
Country wife is buried now outside the fortress walls. My son's inscribed a headstone with a tribute to them all. The mother of the country, the daughter of the land, will leave you poor with beggar's hands.
It was, yeah, it's done me well. It's done me well. And I think part of the attraction for me to do other material is the amount of work that it takes to write songs. And also it stretches me vocally. That there's songs that Lightfoot and Dylan do that I would never have considered doing before. But it's taken me vocally to places, musically, places I wouldn't normally go. And that's what's been really fun and about that. And it's just, I got to see why musicians do tribute shows, because people come out because they love those songs, and so many people know and love those songs. I do have a bass, and I can do my own concerts here in Thunder Bay with my own songs, but I don't get the big crowds. Instead of 400, I might get 200. if I try hard, kind of a thing.
So is that more refreshing for you then? Because you're not sort of ending your era right now. You're actually jumping into a new ball game, sort of say. Does it excite you, or does it sort of depress you, or what?
No, it's exciting. It's exciting, and it also leads me, when I'm getting more and more people in my hometown who have heard of me, but maybe haven't ever heard me before, so they're coming out to hear Dylan songs and go, oh, so that's Rodney Brown, So I think that if I do write more songs, and I have written some songs over the recent years, I think my audience will grow because now they know of me. They know of me through doing Lightfoot and Dylan, and I think it will increase and broaden my audience here. And I still play around. I'm playing the Trout Forest Festival this summer, and next week I'm hitting the road. I'm going to be playing in. I wrote it down here for the Shelter Valley Concert Series in a place called Vernonville Community Center on next Wednesday. What date is next Wednesday? I can't remember. This is pretty bad. I should be ready for all of this stuff. But and I'm also playing some school concerts in Wawa. And I'm just looking at the date here. Belleville. It's close to Belleville.
Belleville, that's just down the road from me.
Yeah, April 23rd.
Okay. Well, if you need a place to stay. Wednesday night. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called the Shelter Valley Concert Series. I start at 7, Vernonville Community Center, 112 St. George Street. So it would be awesome to see you there. And, and I'll do a bunch of Rodney Brown songs for you. No problem.
That's awesome. You know who introduced me to your music years and years ago? Like years ago, I was I think it was Quetico. I was on a canoe trip with Bill and Ann Ostrom Pax from and I knew of you through Ontario Parks for some reason. But then they were playing in the car. They were playing your music. King of Water Lake actually was the one song. But
nice.
But yeah.
Go ahead.
Since that, it was like, I know that guy.
I should clarify that The King of White Otter Lake was written by Bill Houston. Bill Houston is another fine songwriter in Northern Ontario. He grew up in Sioux Lookout. But that is his song.
Last night as I lay sleeping, the snowdrifts drifting, cold wind blowing, I dreamed a mighty river carried me away. Far away across the frozen tundra, left my soul on the shore of a northern sea.
But I did record it, and my version of the song did very well. And but I do want to thank Bill Houston for writing that song.
Well, same with Ian Tamlin's Black Spruce, your cover of Black Spruce, which actually, I love Ian Tamlin, but I listened to your cover of Black Spruce more than his.
I am the raven high o'er the river. I am the black wings carry me home. I am the night sky deeper and deeper. So many stars always alone. Black spruce, heart of the northern river. Through the glass I ripple, clouds and trees all know.
So and that video I've watched 10,000 times over. Whoever the fiddler was, she was amazing. So
yeah, she was. Yeah, awesome. Yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
That's great. So
Yeah.
what's the big draw of the North? I mean, you grew up in Thunder Bay.
Yeah.
You wrote songs about it. You wrote songs about the North. You traveled the North. So why not, become big and go to New York or something like that?
I did consider it at one time. Realizing that, in Southern Ontario, there's just a bigger market, and I could make a living easier probably. But I don't know. I'm comfortable here. I really like Thunder Bay. I like the size of it. And I like the fact that, I could drive 20 minutes out of town or 5 minutes out of town and be in the bush, and then be on a lake. And there might have been also some fear, moving to a big city. It was early 80s when I started to have children of my own, and moving my whole family to a big city, not knowing how things will turn out exactly. It was tougher. So I kind of made a decision that I was going to stay in Thunder Bay, and I was going to try and do it here, by hook or by crook. I couldn't just be a singer-songwriter for adults and make a living. I had to do other things. So I remember I was talking to Robert Paquette in Sudbury at the festival there. He suggested I go into schools, and I thought, So I did that. I started going in. I volunteered my time to go into schools, and I worked up some repertoire, and eventually started doing school concerts and workshops, and that really helped me be able to be a musician in Thunder Bay. Was doing all the schools and the work with the children. Now I'm a regular entertainer on the seniors home circuit in Thunder Bay. I'm realizing that all the cover songs I do from the 60s and 70s fit now. Now that I'm 70, I could remember playing seniors homes when I was younger, and I had to go back to the 30s and 40s, right, to play these songs that the seniors would know. But now it's not much of a stretch at all, and I've been really enjoying the seniors crowd. And our musicians union has a special fund that I can tap into and get paid, and so I'm still playing for kids and seniors, and the Dylan concert was really fun. There's a whole younger crowd of Dylan fans, and he has such a long career, but they were not fans of his later stuff. They were fans of early Dylan, and I was really impressed at the younger crowd that came out. And yeah, the key to my success, all ages.
That's actually good though, because I love that for me for touring. I just finished my spring speaking tour, and I was really excited that I had a mix of audience. I call it. I didn't have the old men with beards, bellies, and tilly hats. I didn't have an audience of that, and I rejoiced. I had 30-year-olds, I had young people, I had mixed cultures, and I'm going to be 62, right? And I've been doing this for forever. So that's the same thing you feel, that you have a mixed audience, and you're getting a new audience too. Yeah. What was the one song that you wrote when you were young? And I'm guessing you put a guitar in your hands when you're probably like 7 years old or something like that. Yeah. But when you wrote your first song, when did you say, I got it, that's what I want to do?
It was with a three-piece band called Image in grade 9. And a song I wrote called What's the Use? And people really liked it. And it led me to other singer-songwriters, and Dylan was one of them. I can remember researching Dylan and his early songs and reading about him, and how his hero was Woody Guthrie. So I found out about Woody Guthrie, and I found out about Pete Seeger and all those guys, and who were writing about where they lived. Woody Guthrie was writing about Oklahoma and the farmers that were starving through the Depression and the droughts, and Dylan was writing about northern Minnesota. And I thought, maybe that's something I could do, and because I was writing about the North, I did catch the attention of folk festivals. I was they like that. They like, you know, having singer-songwriters that write about where they're from and problems about where they're from. It's not, for me, it's not just about the beauty of the North, but it's also about our blemishes, you know, those things that aren't so great.
Yeah, you've got your hand slapped a few times for your environmentalism throughout your career. And you don't really hold back on that. You're like, I don't care. Like that's what locals will come up to you and say, why did you write that song? That's just wrong. And you say, well, no, it's right. So how do you defend yourself in that sense? Did you get emotional or you just get factual?
There is a pretty solid base of support for me to do those songs here in Thunder Bay. I have lots of friends who encourage me, you know, to write songs about the fact that we're storing nuclear waste, you know, in Northern Ontario, and to write songs about all the train derailments we have and polluted waters, and that's a big part of being a folk singer, you know, is drawing attention to problems that are going on. So I have no bones about that, but I know, like, I know people can get tired of coming to hear me and just hearing those kinds of songs, but I also write love songs too, you know, and I write songs about the beauty of Thunder Bay and our area, and lots of historical songs, as you know. So yeah, again, a broad range of songs, I guess. Yeah.
Well, Rodney, what's the one song, or maybe there's more than one song. What's the one song that your fans want to hear and you're like, oh, if I sing that one more time, I'm going to lose it?
Well, you know what? Like this time of year, everybody wants to hear the song called "When the Bay Turns Blue." And it's a song about the sleeping giant. Do we have time? Can I play it?
Yeah, and that's off your third album?
Second album. It's an older song, but right now, like, the ice is gone from the harbor itself, but where the breakwall is, that the ice is still frozen. So it's almost the bay is almost all blue now. But this is a song that I wrote. The lyrics were written by a friend of mine by the name of Rick Heptage. You want to hear?
I knew you'd have a guitar. I knew it.
It's not a long song. It's a pretty short one. I can see the giant in the moonlight, sleeping soft and gentle as a child. And it's the legend of this lake that has turned his heart to stone. A man who gave too many secrets away, his dream of a fortune, a love to call his own, a love as pure and white as the snow and the sun that's melting the ice from my window. And I'm asking you, you know how I feel.
And I spent a lonely winter, no one to talk to. Now the ships are returning, and I know things will be changing, 'cause only you know how I feel when the bay turns blue.
You could only write that song if you lived on Lake Superior, sir. You could never have written that if you moved.
Yeah, you're right. It's about our Thunder Bay.
Yeah.
Our sleeping giant that we're so proud of. Yeah,
It's a beautiful area. Yeah, I love Spear. The you have something new. It's a song from Scotland. I forget the name of it. It's a place in Scotland, isn't it?
And up the road I'll stroll, across the bridge towards the hill, to the ancient forest floor. I'll find some comfort there, among the mist and morning lights, with the sweetness in the air, the music light and fair. Turn to Penigale.
Oh, Pennygill.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I haven't played that song for a while, but it's a song that tells the story about my trip over there. I made a trip to research William McGilvery. Fort William is named after him. He ended up being the chief director of the Northwest Company, and he's not that well known, but he was very important in the development of Canada and keeping British North America British and not American during the War of 1812. And he was the one, William McGilvery made peace with all the fur traders, the XY Company, Alexander Mackenzie, and brought people back into the company. And it was the Northwest Company that controlled 83% of the fur trade in Canada, not the Hudson Bay Company. It was the independent fur traders of the Northwest Company. David Thompson, Alexander Mackenzie, they were fur traders and explorers of the Northwest Company. And when McGilvery passed away, and when they had to merge with the Hudson Bay Company, the Hudson Bay Company never gave them access to Hudson Bay, so they had to canoe, as you know, up to Lake Nipissing and down the Ottawa River and take this longer route to Europe. And so eventually the Hudson Bay Company more or less took over, and McGilvery was very saddened that he wanted the Northwest Company to be remembered. So I went up there and researched. When I got to Penigale, I took out my camera. I was ready to take a picture of his retirement home. It's this big old house. And I took out my camera and the battery died as soon as I hit the button. So I always wanted to go back. And, and that's kind of what the song is about, returning to Penigale and celebrating William McGilvery. And I got to meet some of his descendants, and I thought, geez, I got to come back. And I also did some jamming in a pub while I was there, and they wanted me to stay and play at their social, and geez, but I had to go. And so someday I will go back. And I was able, William McGilvery's burial plaque was destroyed by bombs in World War II. So I discovered that, and I had to, did all the proof. It took me about 2 years talking with the church, but eventually we do now have a new memorial plaque for William McGilvery in St. James's Piccadilly Church.
Oh, fantastic.
So that's a bit long-winded, but anyways, that's William McGilvery's story.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Scotland, I love Scotland. I remember years ago, I went there on a canoe trip, and if it wasn't for my daughter back home, I'd still be living there.
Is that right, eh?
Yeah,
I really lived up there too.
Yeah, my whole family, my mom's side of the family is from Scotland. So, and speaking of that, this is a Whisky Fireside chat, and I have this. This is from Scotland.
Nice.
But it's also 10 in the morning. So,
well, good for you.
yeah, so I'm having tea. I'll cheer you later. But yeah,
whiskey, but yeah, anyways.
I did this thing about I don't know if this happens to you when you do tour, but I just finished my tour and random people come up to me and give me bottles of scotch, and a gentleman gave me this. I didn't start it myself. I wasn't me that started it, but I won't stop it.
Yeah. That's excellent. So how did you get started on that?
I don't know. They just people randomly at my presentations. They really expensive scotch.
Wow.
I'll tell you a funny story about that too. I was speaking in the States about a month ago, and that was my last show in the States. I said, okay, that's it. And it was the big show, Canucopia, and someone had given me a bottle of bourbon. I was like, I'm not taking bourbon across the. No way am I doing that. So I hope the person is not watching this interview, but it was a very expensive bottle of bourbon too. But I went to the McDonald's just before the border, and I put it beside a garbage can. I didn't want to put it in the garbage can. I put it beside it. I said, well, I'll just leave that there. Someone will take it. Went in and got a coffee, and the young kid that served me, he was leaving from work, and I said, well, by the way, there's a bottle of bourbon there if you want. I can't take it across the border. Like, I'm not doing that. And that was the week that we took the bourbon off the shelf. That's why, right? And so I go, I'm not doing that. Well, he took it. Then I realized drinking age. In Michigan, 21. That kid had to be 14 years old.
Well, maybe he gave it to his dad.
Yeah, that's what happened. He gave it to his dad. Yeah. I either ruined his life or made his life. I don't know. But before we go, what is you're still on tour, whatever? But what is the one song that really puts a beam when you sing to an audience?
Ooh. I don't know if there's any particular one. The Big Lonely, I think. The Big Lonely, it tells the story of William McGilvery in that time when he came here. William McGilvery, and another song that, people get quiet, get real quiet and listen to it intently is What Would Susan Say?
She was a traveler, a healer, an explorer and a weaver, a Cree woman and a friend. Were your hands strong and agile? Earth child of the river, would he call you by your Cree name? Was he kind and was he gentle? And if she could tell me, what would Susan say? Susan said,
which is a song about McGilvery's country wife. She was Cree. He named her Susan. Someone we don't know very much about. And the song is not really about her, but it's about me, pondering what it might have been like for her and William. So yeah, those songs, I think they touch people, and that's really cool. When that happens, you can kind of feel it when you sing it, and when you look at people, they're getting it, and it's nice.
Yeah, and you're still getting that too. You're still getting the audience reaction. So that was my it's still my routine. I'm a big history buff and big canoe book collector, and I'll actually listen to one of your songs, like the one you just said, and I'll say, I didn't know about that, and they'll go right into it like a rabbit hole, right, and look into the history. So.
Cool.
Why the history? Was it your dad that got you into the history, or
no? It just it came naturally. Interested in the stories, and when I was talking about researching Woody Guthrie and that, and realizing that we don't have that many songs about Canada, our history. I mean, we do and we don't. And especially about this part of the world. And I thought it was important to tell McGilvery's story. And I remember at the time I was looking for some kind of inspiration to write songs. I still sit around and go, well, what should I write about? And it wasn't until I picked up a book by Jean Morrison. She's a local historian, and she detailed all these stories. And it was just wonderful that I had all this stuff in print, that I could read and gather information from my songs. So Jean Morrison, she helped me out quite a bit. So it was just my own personal interest and my own inspiration, that made me want to get into history, our local history, so much.
Oh, that's really cool. That's neat. We're running out of time. We got a few minutes left. Do you want to end with your ultimate song?
Well, I was trying to think of songs that, might be kind of fun to play. I sang a slow, thoughtful song. I may not play this whole song. How much time do we have?
We have 8 minutes.
8 minutes. Okay.
Yes.
I'll see if I remember this. It's been a while. Your audience might like this song. Above the St. Lawrence Rapids, in a warehouse in machine, we loaded up 10,000 pounds, hauled it all away. 10,000 pounds hauled away in a Montreal canoe. Destination is Fort William, the Northwest Rendezvous. Voyageurs, we are voyageurs, voyageurs, nous sommes voyageurs. 36 portages, it'll take us many days before we reach St. Mary's River and Superior's northern shore. Paddle through the Ottawa to Lake Nipissing, the French River, the North Channel, haul away again. Voyageurs, we are voyageurs, voyageurs, nous sommes voyageurs. Gentlemen, they dress so fine, they feed us beans and lard. They give us 3-point blankets to sleep under the stars. Life is kind, but life is hard, and we show no misery. Working on a 3-year contract for the Northwest Company. Voyageurs, we are the voyageurs, voyageurs, nous sommes the voyageurs. And like our grandfathers and soon our sons will be called the Northmen too. It's the wintering kind that face their fear with a paddle and a north canoe. We'll track the rapids when we can and portage up the hills. 2,000 pounds, 200 pounds upon our backs, haul away the bales. We'll build a fort, hunt and trade like all good Northmen do. Us voyageurs are gathering for the Northwest Rendezvous. Voyageurs, we are voyageurs, voyageurs, nous sommes voyageurs, voyageurs. We are the voyageurs, voyageurs, nous sommes voyageurs.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Wakes you up in the morning.
It does. It does. And a good cheer to you, sir.
Yes, to you too.
Well, I've always loved your stuff. I always will. And good luck with the rest of your presentations and concerts. And
Thank you,
yeah, it was really a big honor to talk to you, actually. Good chatting.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, next time we'll just do the portage together during blackfly season.
Yeah.
Write a song about that.
Yeah, that'd be fun. All right.
For this Whiskey Chat, a big thanks goes out to my sponsors, my friends, Explorer Magazine, Canadian Outdoor Equipment, Recreational Barrel Works, Adventure Medical Kits, Novacraft Canoe, Badger Paddles, and Algonquin Outfitters. Thanks, everyone.